What is going on, operators? Tactop Airsoft back with another exciting video. Today we have a replica that I've been waiting so long to get, and it's finally here. We will be doing a setup video of the Toxicant XM5, and for YouTube this video has been edited to only show the maintenance part, no upgrades or anything like that. So we're not doing modification. This is purely educational for all the people trying to set up their new Airsoft replicas. So yeah, don't take this video down. Getting started, this is somewhat of an MWS clone. The Hopup unit and Hopup nub are MWS compatible, but as you will see later on in this video, the Hopup adjustment itself is completely new. It is slightly different from the VFC version that you might be familiar with, because it is adjusted at the front, but they do it a little different. Looking here, it says it doesn't come with an inner barrel, but it does actually come with a very tiny inner barrel. There's my hand for comparison. Probably unusable, but I bet someone will find a way to use it. So we're gonna switch this out for a 277 millimeter 3.01 type bore inner barrel. Our bucking of choice will be the tried and true Friction Pro Hopup bucking and nub, which works perfectly with this new setup. And after we get that fitted on the inner barrel, we'll just complete the install like your normal MWS. Do note that the lever that puts tension onto the bucking nub is rounded, so you're going to need a nub that is somewhat rounded at the top. After putting both shells of the Hopup unit together, we will now struggle to get that O-ring over the Hopup unit without breaking it. And yeah, this is probably my least favorite part about MWS Hopup units. With that finally done, we can now slide the outer barrel onto the inner barrel slash Hopup unit and use the two larger silver grub screws to lock them in place. The outer barrel will line up with the Hopup unit, and you'll know that it's flush because the grub screws will be able to screw in all the way. Now we can fit the Hopup tensioner onto the Hopup unit. There is a little spring at the bottom, and you'll see on top the actual contact point of it. Here's a little test of the Hopup tensioner in action. As you can see, it applies a nice flat Hopup surface, and with that confirmed, we will secure it in place with the two black Allen key screws. Do note that there is a lot of Loctite. One of my issues with the previous Toxicant was that there wasn't any Loctite and things shook themselves to oblivion. But with this model, they provide a lot of Loctite, so make sure you have your heat gun because you don't want to strip any of these screws. With that done, we'll now put together the first third of the gas block. There is probably an easier way of doing this. I could not get that front gas block port to come out. There are two pins there, and I could not get the second one. So I did a little bit of a sketch workaround by unscrewing the grub screws on this, breaking it in half, pushing it to the side, and putting it on or taking it off. You'll see that later on in the video. So if you can get that front gas port off, please do that, because that is probably the easier and the safer way of doing this step. But as you can see there, this works as an oblong circle where one side is longer than the other. So when you twist the gas port, it will provide more or less tension onto the Hopup nub. And yeah, that's how you apply your hop with this system. This is the sketch I was talking about. We're going to insert the first third into its slot, and then we are going to add the second third, add a little bit of an angle, forcing it to the side. And once that's in place, we will add the third third of it. With that in place, we'll take another one of the smaller silver grub screws and insert it into that slot. Once again, those two holes will line up, and you'll know you've done it right because they will fully seat together and the grub screw will be flush. Another note, this was one of the pieces that had a lot of Loctite on it, and I almost stripped that screw. So make sure you use your heat gun if you're removing it with this method. But once again, highly recommend trying to get that front gas port off so you don't have to disassemble this part. With that back in place, we will now take the last third and put that in its slot. This is your adjuster. You'll turn this knob to adjust your Hopup. Once again, there will be another silver grub screw. Once you have that in place and the holes lined up, you'll thread in that silver grub screw and you are golden. Again, lots of Loctite. need a heat gun, don't strip your screw. And there you have it, our mock gas port slash hop up adjustment is assembled. Now we will slot all of that into the upper receiver, and from here on out the install is almost similar to any of your MCXs minus one caveat. This right here is the caveat. This one little plate is what holds the outer barrel hop up unit into the upper receiver, so make sure you tighten that down. Again, lots of Loctite, so make sure you use a heat gun. After that's been secured, we are in the home stretch. Just like your normal MCX, we're gonna tighten down this plate right here and be on our merry way. 2 screws, 2 plates, 1 on each side. Put them together, thread them into place, and you're good to go. Once that's done, we can now slide the handguard onto place. Once again, the tolerances are perfect. It has the same Toxicant magic with their machining, so you should have an easy time doing this. The handguard is similar to the spear line of MCXs. There are 2 screws that lock it into place, so once it's slid on, use those 2 screws to lock it down and you're good to go. Up next, we will re-grease our bolt. Do note that my least favorite part of the MCX bolt is back on this Toxicant version, and it's those stupid rollers at the top. They're not secured by anything and can fall off, so make sure you pay attention to them and don't let them fall off. A nice little trick I like to use, which I just showed off in this video, is applying some grease there so that they stick to their little brackets. But once that's done, we can slide the bolt into the carrier with the charging handle and be done with the upper. Once that's finished, we can hammer in our front and rear pins and be fully done with assembling the body of this gas blowback. Taking a brief look at the trigger box, it is an MWS style trigger box, but it looks to be a little shorter than your normal MWS trigger box, so I don't think that part is compatible unless you're just pulling parts out of your MWS and putting it into this one. The stock is pretty straightforward. It's your standard 1913 Picatinny rail. Just loosen the screw on the back and put your stock onto the pick rail and tighten it down and you're good to go. And with all that done, you can subscribe and be proud of your newly assembled Toxicant XM5. Here are some shots of my fully built out XM5. We have a Unity mount and riser with an Eotech on another riser, a PTS pressure switch to our Watson light, an EG Ngal, the Chopstop V2 as our hand stop. At the front, the PTS Sandman mock suppressor, and to hold it up, a Magpul sling. I hope you all enjoyed this setup video and it helps you out in building out your own XM5. As always, stay safe, have fun, play airsoft. This is Tactop signing out.